So, Mr. Minister, what do you think so far of the priorities that the Greek presidency has set in regard of justice matters? And what do you think of the job that has been done so far?
Deutschland ist sehr dankbar für die griechische Ratspräsidentschaft. Sie hat die richtigen Akzente gesetzt. Wir brauchen nicht mehr Gesetze, sondern wir brauchen die richtige Implementierung der Gesetze in Europa. Das ist auch unsere Meinung und von daher sind Griechenland und Deutschland hier Hand in Hand tätig. Und die gesamte Ratspräsidentschaft ist, glaube ich, best organisiert und von daher sind wir sehr froh, dass Griechenland die Ratspräsidentschaft übernommen hat.
So, another question. Yesterday, since we're talking today about data protection, the big issue is how the European Union and the United States work in this matter, what needs to be done. But another issue that is similar, yesterday we learned that the passwords and emails of 16 million Germans were stolen. This is a similar issue, but it has to be dealt differently. I think it isn't right. What needs to be done on that?
Nun, die Frage der Datensicherheit ist in Deutschland wie überall in Europa ein heißes Thema. Wir in der Bundesrepublik warten zunächst, was die Datenspeicherung anbelangt, die Rechtsprechung des Europäischen Gerichtshofs ab, die in den nächsten Wochen bis Ostern erwartet wird und werden danach auch die europäischen Richtlinien zu dem Thema umsetzen, aber indem wir die Rechtsprechung mit einbauen und damit die Frage der Speicherung in Deutschland hoffentlich einer Lösung zuführen. Was das Verhältnis zu den USA anbelangt, sind wir in vielerlei Feldern mit den USA in Kontakt, sei das die Frage des Freihandelsabkommens zwischen der EU und den USA. Wir glauben, dass wir über ein No-Spy-Abkommen eine Voraussetzung dafür schaffen können, dass alle Bürger in Deutschland und in Europa sicher sind vor dem Ausspähen, insbesondere von Freunden.
And one last question, are you satisfied with the guidelines that President Obama has given to NSA regarding the mass surveillance of European citizens, European leaders as well? Are you satisfied or do you want more things to be done?
Also wir begrüßen zunächst mal, dass Herr Obama die Rahmenbedingungen für das Ausspähen auf neue rechtliche Basis stellen will und auch einschränken möchte. Insbesondere was das Abhören anbelangt von befreundeten Staaten. Wir würden uns mehr wünschen, keine Frage. Deswegen setzen wir uns für ein neues Spy-Abkommen ab, was wichtig für die Bürger, aber auch wichtig für die Unternehmen in Deutschland und in Gesamteuropa ist.
So, Mr. Minister, what do you think so far of the work that the Greek presidency has done for important justice matters? And what do you think of the priorities that the Greek presidency has set so far for the European Union?
I think the goals are very good and the topics are very good, because when we talk about justice and home affairs, especially about justice affairs, then I have said here in the meeting and also otherwise that the first thing what we have to think when we talk about future of Europe and justice affairs is that how much can we do, because last 15 years we have done a lot. So today we have to think more about that, maybe less is more. And these things what we will do in the future, these can only be very specific things what we do for European people, and we have to think very carefully what we are doing and how we are doing.
Of the job that the Greek presidency has done so far regarding important justice matters.
I think that the topics on the agenda are very well chosen, and I think that the Greek presidency has done a very good job. I'm happy to be here, and it's warm. In Finland we have 20 degrees minus, so it was so nice to come here, and everything has been all right, and people are friendly, and the presidency, they have done a good job, so I wish them all the luck and all the best for the future, and together we will do things better for the people in Europe.
So far of the priorities that the Greek presidency has set for these 6 months of the European Union?
You know that the presidencies come one after the other. So it is to give the priorities, to finish as many as you can and then hand over to the next presidency. And that was why yesterday evening there was the most important meeting of the presidency, one of the Greek minister, the Italian minister who will have the presidency for the second half, the European Parliament and the Commission. And together we set up a to-do list, a way how we can solve the problems one after the others, starting with the Greek presidency and finishing with the Italian presidency. And I must say that by this way, for instance, the European citizens can be sure to have in 2015 finally a law to protect their privacy. And also our companies need that, because if not, the stealing of their results in research is too big, and they lose a lot of capacities, they lose a lot of jobs due to this. We have to stop that. So thanks to the Greek presidency, we can advance.
You said earlier that you want a roadmap of regarding the data protection system that the Greek presidency is going to hand over to the Italian presidency. Which measures do you want to see implemented? Which measures do you want to be ready by the time Greece hands over to the Italians?
The decision of the Council of Ministers of the 28 member states on how the data protection, how the privacy should be done. The Parliament is ready. The Parliament has taken this decision. The Council is not ready. So the Council will take this decision under Greek presidency, so that then in summer this year the negotiations between the Parliament and the Council can start. And then we will say, well done Greece, you have really well served not only the Greek citizens but the 507 million citizens of Europe.
Of the priorities that the Greek presidency has set for the important issues regarding justice in Europe?
As President of the Committee in charge of Liberties, Justice and Home Affairs of the European Parliament, I'm moved by the fact that the Greek happens to be the last presidency of this mandate of the European Parliament, which is precisely the mandate in which Lisbon Treaty entered into force and made the European area of liberty, justice and security a truly European policy subject to the legislative procedure in which the European Parliament must be fully involved. I'm glad to know that the Greek presidency is counting on the European Parliament to make it complete, to further develop the goals that were established in the so-called Stockholm Programme for the area of liberty, justice and security, but most importantly, to make sure that there will be a data protection package protecting the fundamental rights of the European citizens in a moment in which is most necessary, because Europeans have good reason to be concerned about the mass surveillance and espionage program that has been conducted by the National Security Agency of the United States. And finally, we are concerned about fundamental rights all across Europe, and we know only too well that the Greek people has been suffering a lot because of this terrible crisis management, which has been no good by no means. We feel empathy and very close to these sufferings of the Greek people, and we would like to tell and convey a strong message. Populism, extremism is not the right answer. Europe must stand up for its values, and we're glad to know that in the worst conditions ever, in the midst of the most terrible crisis ever in the European Union history, the Greek presidency stands up for European values.
So regarding, let me go back a little bit, regarding the data protection system, I understand most of the European people use American-based companies, American technological products, email, social networking. What do you think needs to be done? What measures need to be taken in order to protect the data that European citizens send willingly, probably, over to America? How are they going to be stored here so they are protected more effectively?
over this term of the European Parliament 2009-2014, which is coming to an end, precisely conducted by the Greek presidency, the European Parliament has cared about the fundamental rights of the citizens, which include the right to privacy. Alongside with the Lisbon Treaty came into force the European Charter of Fundamental Rights, which makes privacy a fundamental right of all Europeans. So we must protect privacy facing the informational revolution in the net and telling the world that we care about the fundamental rights of the European, and we are not willing to accept just like that the United States or the National Security Agency may surveillance massive espionage on the rights to privacy of the European citizens. That is why we have conducted a full data protection package, a new regulation and a new directive, which is to be compulsory and effective all across the European Union and for all of the member states, and protect the European Union citizens even when they are abroad. And of course that has to be a condition when it comes to negotiating or concluding agreements with third global partners, as is the case of the United States. The European Parliament is doing its part of the job. Let's hope that under the Greek presidency the Council will do its part of the job as well.
Wanted to add that I really enjoy the surroundings here. This was built by the famous architect Theophil Hansen, and he built the House of Parliament in Vienna too, and that's why I feel very, very good here.
Beautiful and impressive.
Yes.
And the weather helps too today.
Yes, of course. In Austria we couldn't see sun for a couple of weeks now, so
it's also
wonderful.
A nice break.
We are enjoying our stay here.
Of the priorities that Greece has set so far for the European Union, and how has it progressed so far?
Well, first of all, I have to say that I'm really deeply impressed. Being here is so fine, and we were so heartily welcomed by my colleague here in Greece. I have to say that, and I like to be here, and as a typical Austrian, I've been in Greece quite often, especially at the time when there was a cooperation between the universities of Vienna and Athens. I was part of this cooperation. But to answer your question, I think it was a very successful meeting up to now. We really make progress, and it's fine to get to know all my colleagues. As you know, recently I became Minister for Justice in Austria, but it's a very good feeling and a very good atmosphere, and we are going on.
So I understand that the issue of data protection is a matter that needs to be resolved very quickly.
Yes,
what steps are going to have to be taken?
Well, we will talk about that this afternoon, so maybe you can ask me later on.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And
Mr. Minister, what do you think so far of the priorities that Greece has set for this semester of the European Council?
I think that the Greek presidency is making a great job. They don't have many time. You know that we will have elections for the European Parliament, so it's a transition time, but the efforts made by the Greek presidency are excellent. The efforts aim to bring our countries closer together, and that is, I believe, the right direction to choose.
Mm-hmm. I understand that the issue of data protection is a pressing matter. I think that the European Union wants to have new laws in place very soon. What does the Greek presidency have to do in order to achieve that?
I think the Greek presidency should try to find out how we can have common positions on data protection. Everybody agrees that it is a very important matter. Our citizens expect from us governments to bring solutions to their questions and to their fears. And I think the Greek presidency is trying to make a serious effort to bring the positions together. Otherwise, we can't talk to others in the world if you don't have on the basis a common European position.
So I understand that there's going to have to be a lot of work to be done even during the European elections, even when the European Parliament has to stop.
The elections for the European Parliament are an important moment, but that moment cannot stop the efforts that we are doing right now. So the Greek presidency will have to find out how to manage the context of the European elections and nevertheless go on working as we did from the beginning of January. And I think for the moment they are doing a great job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.